y'all, it's Heather, and I took a little trip to Sephora this morning to buy the new Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Nature palette. This is Makeup by Mario's new palette for holiday 2025, and I am so excited about this because last year I loved the quality of the Ethereal Eyes palette. I thought it was so great, but it was a cool tone palette, and cool tone palettes are not my personal preference. I would much rather work with warm, olivey type of shades. So this year, we have an olive shade in the palette. I am so happy. I am so happy. We are going to be doing eye swatches of every single shade. I'm going to put them on my eyes. We're going to swatch them on the back of my hand so that you can see it swatched on bare skin. We're going to swatch it on the lids with a base, and then we are going to create a look. I'm also going to show you some comparisons because I definitely want to show you this palette next to last year's palette, next to his Master Matte's palette, so that I can be as helpful to you as possible. I am so excited about this. I am going to zoom you in and we're going to swatch. I do think this palette looks really pretty, and I asked last year in my video on his Ethereal Eyes palette for olives. I was like, I would love that yellowy, olivey tones. So I am so happy to see that we have a green shade in here. I definitely wish that we had like maybe one olive green matte, something, but I know that Mario really loves the neutral shades, and I'm happy to have some pops of color. This is supposed to be a nature-inspired color story. We're supposed to have some really beautiful tones in here. I am excited to see that we have kind of some more like yellowy undertone shades. That makes me super happy. So we're gonna swatch and then eye swatch. Swatch and then eye swatch so that you can see the shade in every way possible. So I just have to do the olive green first, okay? I cannot help it. We are gonna be doing the olive green first. I'm gonna pick it up. My skin tone is olive and it is warm leaning. That's beautiful. So there it is, no base or anything underneath. There's that beautiful shimmery shade. This shade is described as a shimmering golden olive. Here's what that shade looks like on my lid. You saw it swatched on my bare skin on my hand. This I put over a little bit of a lighter colored concealer, not super light, but like lighter than my skin tone. I don't ever use concealer as eyeshadow primer, but for these eye swatches, it is effective. So it works well so that you can see them. And I do want to remind you, if you've been at my eye swatches before, you already know the drill. But if you are new here, eye swatching is messy. I am more concerned about getting the shade on my eye so that you can see how it looks and being gentle with my skin during the removal and reapplication process. I am not worried about fallout on the rest of my face. I don't care about that. I'm not worried about getting messy when I remove and reapply. I just want you to be able to see the shadow on my eyes and my eyelids to be salvageable at the end of the video and my skin not be so irritated. So if you see fallout, things like that, just know I am being messy. I do not have issues with fallout with Makeup by Mario. If I notice anything out of the ordinary, I will definitely let you know. But there is that shade on my eyes. Very pretty, very sparkly. This is very thin when I feel it. It doesn't feel like a heavy, chunky shimmer. It feels very fine and thin, and I think that that is a really beautiful color. It's really pretty. It is a very subtle olive. It is a golden olive. It is not an in-your-face green. I have blended the shadow far out and up because I want to give you as much surface area to see the shade as possible too. We're also going to go ahead and swatch the dark brown matte because I'm very excited to see such a deep shade. And if you can hear my dog barking in the background, I'm so sorry. I think we're getting a delivery or something. But that is a beautiful, beautiful brown. It looks like it has really great pigment. This is described as a matte mahogany brown. I always like to try to like boop it on with my finger a little bit first just to see the pigment before I go in with the brush. I just like to do kind of two different things like brush and finger, so that if you are thinking about buying this palette, you can like have me be as helpful to you as possible, depending on like the application method you like, all of that. But that's a pretty color, right? Like that's building up really, really well. I'm just gonna make sure I have that nice and opaque on my lid. That is really deep and dark, and that makes me happy. That's what I was curious about, if this would actually be dark. So here we have our first 2 shades. Not the first shades in the palette, the first shades that I was drawn to. And then we'll go in Makeup by Mario's order of the palette. I do want to point out that there's a nice big mirror in this palette. I like when palettes have mirrors. It's not a must, but it's a nice bonus. And I like the layout of this palette. I really like how we have matte, non-matte, non-matte, matte. Like, I like that they put all the like shimmer metallics in the center. I don't know, it's very aesthetically pleasing to me. Let's do this top shade right up here. I just really wanted to start with that green and brown, but now we'll go into the other shades. That's cute. This shade is described as a satin cream. And it is. It's a matte shade that has sparkle in it. If you pack the shade on like this, you're gonna be able to see some of that sparkle. So it's like a matte with a little bit of a sparkle, but if you blend, you can buff away that sparkle. And it won't be completely matte, but you can definitely get rid of a little bit of that sparkle when you do this. So there's that shade. Very smooth, very nice. You saw it swatched on my hand, but here it is on my eye. I'm gonna put the second shade in our palette right there. That's really light. Like, that is really light in color. That looks really pretty though. It looks like it has some really nice reflect. This is described as a shimmering peach champagne. The Sephora site says this is a first ever of its kind formula infused with pearls, which we know that was a big selling point for Patrick Ta when he did his duos. We know that indie brands, independently owned brands, have been doing that type of formula for a long time. This feels different in texture to the Patrick Ta. In case you read that and you were thinking those Patrick Ta duos, I do have a full video on the shade expansion. Check that out if you're curious. But this, specifically this shade, does have a more creamy feel to it. It doesn't feel like a gel or a cream to powder necessarily. It almost feels like a thinner version of a ColourPop Super Shock shadow, and it has that really pretty reflectiveness to it. So here are these 2 shades. Now I'll swatch these 2 shades before we put them on our eyes. We'll put that right here. That's very pretty. And then we'll put that matte shade right there. Okay, very pretty. I really liked the formula that Makeup by Mario had in his palette from last year, so I'm excited. It looks like that's going to continue. Let's put this on our lid and see how it looks. This shade is described as a shimmering taupe. That is a very pretty shade, and while I would love to have all olivey shades, warm shades, I do think having a taupe like this helps keep the palette in that more true, like, neutral category. So whether you love warm tones or cool tones, if you like makeup, you like things that are neutral, I think this palette will appeal to a lot of people. Of course, it's also going to depend on like personal preference, what you like on yourself. I mean, even though I prefer warm tones, I definitely wear cool tones sometimes because that's what I want to do. I just love makeup. I love testing and trying new things, new formulas. I think that's a pretty color. It has some nice shine to it. This is very, very dim lighting. It's not dark, but I mean, it's kind of dark to me. In here, like, I definitely couldn't do my makeup in this lighting because I can't hardly see. But I like to show you, just giving you like how it looks in person, which is how I'm filming the video mostly, but then I like to turn the light down just a bit or a lot of bit so that you can see. I want to be as helpful as possible. And you never know, like maybe you're at work or you're out and there is a power outage and the lights go out and you're just like trying to see and you want to know that your eyeshadow is still looking great even in the dark. You know, what do I know? I don't know your life. You may need that in an eyeshadow. I'm just being silly. I'm having a good time. I'm really liking this shade. I think that's really pretty, even though it is definitely like more on the cool side on me. I'm gonna apply the matte shade with my finger. We're gonna ignore that I broke my fingernail because they are my real fingernails and it did not feel good. We're just gonna ignore it, right? Yes. This is described as a matte warm beige, and I would agree with it. You can even see in the pan that it has that more like yellowy undertone to it. I think shades like this are really pretty for doing a matte inner corner, for blending deeper shades out if you have a lighter skin tone, for adding contrast if you have a deeper skin tone. So here, before I wipe these away, next I'll swatch these two shades right here. Let's put that beautiful matte right there. That looks like it has a really nice, like almost rosy brown tone. And then I'll pick up the shimmer right beside it and we'll put it there. That one is not too far off in depth from my skin tone, so you're gonna see it even better on the eyes, but it is this pretty like coppery color. Let's go in with this matte shade. It is described as a matte dusty rose. There's what our shade is looking like just with a finger, but I'm grabbing a brush. Now, this point in our eye swatch journey is about where my eyes are like, listen, lady, we're done, we're sore, but we will persevere, right? There's our matte shade. That one is really smooth and pretty. It definitely has that rosiness to it without being a bright pink. It is a dusty rose color. Definitely this shade would be pretty if you have last year's Ethereal Eyes palette too, that is very cool toned. This shade would be really pretty with a lot of shades in that palette too, and this palette of course, but that's really smooth, really nice. I like Makeup by Mario's matte formula. I think it's very pretty. It is not straight pigment out of the gate, bam, in your face. It is very buildable and you can get it to very pigmented, but it's very user friendly and that you can go on with a little, add more, add more, add more if you want to. Very easy to use, very user friendly. I like building mine up to where they're this nice opacity and then buffing out. This shade is described as a shimmering rose gold on the Sephora site. I'm gonna pop that right over here. Here is this shade. I just buffed and blended it on. I will link the brushes I'm using down below and in YouTube shopping, pinned comment, everything I can do, but this brush is a brush from my favorite set. That's really pretty. That is a rose gold. This is a limited edition palette, just so you know. I always like to let you know when things are limited edition. So I don't know how long Sephora will keep this in stock, how long it will be around with Makeup by Mario, but it is limited edition. I know last year the palette stayed around for a while, and I know like all the stores in my area had it, but I like to keep you informed. It is limited edition and it dropped in stores today. I went and bought it this morning, so I'm excited about it. I've been waiting for Makeup by Mario's holiday palettes and Danessa Myricks and Pat McGrath. Like, I just love all holiday launches. Make sure you subscribe if you love new makeup, you love videos like this, because I have so many coming. Like, my schedule is full. My schedule's full. We've already done the green, so we'll go over to this matte shade right here. I'll put that right there. That's pretty. That's definitely like a neutral. It's pulling very neutral on my skin tone. This is described as a matte camel brown. Matte camel brown. At least that's what the Sephora site says. There we go. matte caramel brown. I was really hoping that this shade would be true to pan, that it wouldn't be lighter than what's in the pan, because sometimes with a matte shadow that's not buildable and you can't layer it, sometimes shades like this will be so like mid-tone in the pan, but then when you put it on the eyes, it just looks so light. But I easily got the pigment with this shade, and it is true to how it looks in the pan. That makes me happy, because I feel like when you look at a palette and you see that it has a nice mix of light shades, mid-tone shades, deep dark shades, you want that, right? Like for me, I'm buying things, looking at them thinking, I hope they perform that way. And I am happy to say that this one does. I know that sounds like, okay, Heather, isn't that a given? But it's not always with makeup. And look at how much that's blending too. Now, if you see a little sparkle or something in one of these matte shadows, it's not the shadow, it's the nature of eye swatches. I try to clean up the best I can, but I can see like a couple of sparkles. It comes from putting on, taking off, putting on, taking off. So this is matte. I'm doing the best I can to clean up those sparkles. And that is a pretty and blendable shade. Next, I have this matte shade right down here. And maybe I'll just swatch that one right there on the palm of my hand. Isn't that pretty? That has a nice pigment. Matte, medium, neutral brown is how this shade is described. I'm gonna put that right there so you can see that color. This shade is going on so smooth and beautiful. I'm starting to get a little texture in my lids. If you can see right in the middle, that is actually my eye. The skin on my eye is just getting a little irritated and things aren't wanting to lay as well. So kind of ignore where you see that a little bit. I've just like rubbed my eye. Imagine just taking off your eye makeup and reapplying 6 times in a row. That's what my eye's doing. It's fine. I'll be fine. I just don't want you to see that and think, oh, the shadow is really like not laying well. It's just the nature. It's the nature of this type of video that I do, but that is a really pretty color. I do like that. Just these 2 shimmer shades left. Let's pick up this one, bottom row, and I'll swatch it. We'll just keep going down my arm. That's a pretty bronzy color. I know you can see them so much better on the eyes, but I want to show you as much as possible. This shade is described as a medium golden bronze. And I will just put that right there. And I cannot tell a lie. I gotta be honest. I love a bronze shade. I love a bronze shade. I love it. Like, give me a bronze smoky eye. I'm happy all day, every day. Not really, because I'll want to do a bronze smoky eye, and then the next day I'll want to do a red and pink eye, and the next day I'll want to do a blue and green eye. But I do love a bronze color, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put that on and out and around with another brush from the Angela Bright favorite set. Isn't that a pretty shade? Like, it's so smooth and it has the sparkle. It's pretty. I like it. And our last shimmer shade, let's see, how about right here? Pretty, reflective. Oh, okay, I'm into it. This shade is described as a medium bronze burgundy. It is a bronze burgundy. It's pretty. I think that is a very pretty shade. Like, this will definitely look like an interesting neutral in this palette if I'm pairing it with these brown tones or that dusty rose. But if I were to pair this with like a purple matte, oh, it'd be so pretty. You could do this shade one and done all over the lid. Like, that's really pretty. I like that. I like that this palette has light shimmers and dark shimmers. I enjoy that. I think this is a really, really pretty shade. Here are these shades in the dark and dim lighting. Super pretty. Now, I want to take these off and I want to do a look with this palette. I want to do a complete eye look, a tutorial, a demo, and after that, I want to do comparisons. I want to show you this next to last year's palette, buy his Master Mattes palettes, just so that I can let you know, like, if you like those palettes, is this the same? But I really want to do an eye look first so I can get a feel and make sure. I know I fit all the shades on my eyes, but I want to see how they blend and buff together. These colors are just cute. Oh, it's so fun. Like, it's so painful to do eye swatches, but it's also so fun just to see all the shades on my eyes. I wiped the shadow away and put down an eyeshadow primer. I'm using eyeshadow base from Melt. So we are ready for shadow, something a little lighter and brighter than my skin tone, but not too light, not too bright. I want to do something easy with this palette because I'm really just wanting to get a feel for the shadows. So I'm going to do an easy look, something like the same style of look that I do a lot. And I'm going to start off with this shade right here, this kind of mid-tone color. I'm just going to pop that kind of all in my socket, blend it up and out to give my eye a little bit of lift. I do have oily skin, so I always use an eyeshadow primer, and I wear my makeup all day. Like, I need my products to give me all day wear, so I always use an eyeshadow base, no matter the brand. And I'm just fluffing that shadow on. Now let's go into our deep dark brown matte shade, and this I'm going to use to deepen up the outer corner. I'm going to give myself a matte brown outer corner lid shade, and then I'm going to fluff that up and out. I'm using one of my Refer brushes. I will list the brushes, the numbers, links, everything down below. Okay, that is blending really easily. It's working well with that other matte shade. I was able to layer it on top right up here and still have a really nice blend. I always like to make sure that shadows work well layered on top of one another, use them in different ways, everything. So you'll definitely see this palette again in future videos from me. Today is the day I bought the palette, of course. So after I use it more and more, I'll definitely have it in a future video updating you. I'm gonna line my waterline, my lower waterline, with this Makeup by Mario eyeliner. This shade is called the Perfect Brown. I have the black one from Makeup by Mario. I also recently bought the purple one, plum one. I'm just gonna line it and put a little bit on my lower lash line. It can be messy, I'm cool with that. I do wish there was like a dark green matte eyeliner. I think that would have been really cool with this collection, but we're going with the dark brown today. Let's pick up a little bit of this shade. Let's do a shimmer on the lower lash line. It's gonna make this look a little more ethereal, I think, which will be pretty. I think that shimmer looks really pretty with the brown in the lower waterline. I think it just softened things up a little bit. And I do really like these eyeliners from Makeup by Mario, these pencils. They're very, like, easily smudgeable at first, and then they do set down. So it's kind of like that perfect mix of you put it on and you have time to work with it if you want to. If you want to like soften it up with a shadow, you want to kind of smudge it, give it that lived in look, which I really like, you can do that, and it's going to set and it's going to stay well. Or you can just put it on, let it set down, and you're good to go if you want more precision. But I personally really love being able to smudge the eyeliner around. I like having a couple of minutes to kind of play with it. So that's what we did here, and I do think that's a pretty brown shade. Just please, Mario, if you ever see this, give us some olives, some emeralds, like in the matte finish. It's so hard to find like olive green, emerald green, like green eyeliners that stay in the waterline and are a matte finish. I can't often find those. Now, we did this olive green on my hand and on my eyes, and we could see that it was olive, but I want to layer it over a base. That was something I was thinking about as we were doing the eye swatches, that it would be interesting to see how that shade looks with a green base underneath. So I am going to grab this Mob Beauty cream. I think these are called the cream clay shadows make. Listen, I'll put it in the description box. But I'm going to take this shade and put this down as a base. Now that I have that base down, I want to just kind of blend on top that olive shimmer shadow. And it is so pretty on its own, but it's definitely more impactful with that green base underneath. And I'm just using another brush from my favorite set. It's my favorite shimmer brush. So I'm gonna blend and blend. I really like that. I did see that Mario also launched a brown mascara. That looks really, really pretty. They did not have that in store when I went in today. And he also launched a brush set. They did not have that in when I went in store today, but I did look for it. So he was launching the palette as well as those other items. Lots of new stuff because I am wearing the foundation now that launched not too long ago. I do have a review here on my channel of that, so you can check that out too. I'm wearing the new one, the more like natural matte finish. But isn't that green? Like, it's so much more impactful with the base underneath. I like that. I really like that. It looks pretty on its own too, but this is definitely giving more punch. I want to go into this shade right up here, and I want to pop that right on the inner corner, because this is a formula that I don't think I have tried from Makeup by Mario. I know I talked about kind of the texture during the eye swatches, and I don't have this in his other palettes. So this is the only shade that kind of felt that way. I feel like you can even see in the pan kind of like how my finger went more into the pan with this one. Like it's not squishy, but it's definitely a little more of that like almost like a dry Super Shock formula. I don't want to say Super Shock because it's not exactly like that. It's more dry and it's not emollient, but it's definitely different than these. Like this is a different type of formula. So I wanted to for sure use that in the look so I could try it again just to make sure. That's pretty. And we'll talk about it more in the comparisons too. But I'm going to see if I need to do any more blending, and then I will throw on some mascara because I want to see the final look and then do some comparisons. I put on some mascara, finished up the rest of my makeup, and we have the finished look. We're going to compare this to some other Makeup by Mario palettes, but this one has got to be my favorite. It has got to be my favorite in terms of color story. I know it is very neutral, and I would have just been over the moon to see like one of these shades be an olive green matte. I would have loved that, but I do really like this color story. I think it's very pretty. I think it is interesting neutrals. I like that we have the green and the burgundy shimmers. We have options, you know, and you can definitely use like different bases under these shadows and get a different vibe too. So let's look at this first next to last year's Makeup by Mario palette. I did not get the year before. I didn't buy that one, but this is the Twilight, or no, Midnight, right? Ethereal as Moonlight. I always want to say Twilight, but it's Moonlight. This one, very cool toned, and it was interesting neutrals as well because we did have the pop of blue. We had one blue matte, which is why I say I really would have loved to have a pop of a green matte, and then we would have had two greens, and it would have made me so happy. But I'm gonna get off that, okay? I'm gonna move on. I hear y'all telling me, move on, Heather. This Ethereal Eyes palette was great quality, and I feel this is the same quality. The mattes are what I expect from Makeup by Mario. Pigmented, buildable, blendable, beautiful, smooth, silky, but they still last and stay on the eyes. They're not such a silky formula that they buff and blend away. They stay and they're pretty. So here in this palette up top, this burgundy shade is, according to me, just swatching it on my hand, they feel like the same formula as the metallic shade in last year's palette. This shade right here in our new palette, I know I've said it a couple of times, it does feel different. I swatched all of these shimmers, like just putting my hand in and feeling the texture, and I do feel like this is different for Makeup by Mario, but still really nice. The rest of the shimmers, I feel like the formulas, they're translating the same, they feel the same. Maybe it's not the exact same formula, but they do feel that way to me. I love eyeshadow I love playing with makeup, and those are the things that I noticed between the two palettes. Of course, I do like the color story of this year much better. It's more suited to me and my personal preference, but I was still loving this because I do think the quality is really nice, and I'm excited to see these beautiful formulas at Sephora. Now, I do have two all matte palettes here from Makeup by Mario. So it's gonna be a comparison just of the matte shades. Let me show you first to the Master Mattes eyeshadow palette, comparing this one to our newer palette. I've already said what I think about the Makeup by Mario mattes. I think they're really beautiful, blendable, easy to work with, really nice formula. So coming down, looking at these palettes, of course, they're not dupes. Of course, they're not dupes. They are different. We've got shimmers and things in the new palette. The new palette is limited edition, but I just wanted to show you next to all of the Makeup by Mario that I have. And this palette is a very neutral palette. We do have like a little bit of warmth in here, but overall it's a very neutral. And then we have the Master Mattes, the neutrals. This to me is very neutral, cool leaning. The neutral shades are quite cool leaning on me, and the cool shades are definitely cool. So showing these to you side by side also, you can see the difference in the tones with the great formulas. So I am excited to see a palette like this at Sephora with these beautiful sparkles. I love that we do have a little bit of olive and burgundy in this palette. I think the tones are super pretty. It is the classic Makeup by Mario packaging that is white. You can see I already have makeup smudges all over my palette. Super easy to clean though. I can get a makeup wipe and wipe it, and then we're done. Like it'll be clean, good as new. The packaging is the exact same as last year's. The only way to know the difference without opening them up is to read the name on the back of the palette. I'm into it. I'm happy with my purchase. I love testing and trying new makeup. I want to test all the things that I can test, everything that appeals to me, so that I can let you know and you can make a decision on whether to buy, whether to skip, whether to put it on your wish list, what you're gonna do. Let me know. Are you excited about this palette? What new releases are you the most excited for? Because I want to hear from you. I'm planning to go back in store shopping this week. There's more new things coming out. I'm wearing my Hourglass palette today. You know, I'm really enjoying those. I love this time of year for makeup, and I would love it if you would stick around. I'm going to pop up some more videos here. Please do subscribe, hang out with me. Let's talk all things Makeup by Mario, ethereal as nature, down below in the comments.